Hello. The meeting was already called to order because we went into non-public before. So if you would stand and join me for the pledge of allegiance. Thank you. And since it's 22 years since 9/11, I'd ask for a moment of silence, please. Thank you. The first item on the agenda is agenda review. Anything to add? Okay, seeing nothing. Next, we'll move on to acceptance of minutes. I entertain a motion for approval of the school board minutes from August 7th. Equipment. Okay, Dana. Okay, you were at the Brookfield meeting? Okay.
If I may, it shows you arriving at 6:06. It's just down Wolfeboro.
Oh, yeah, just under, a little bit, about a paragraph down, you were absent, but then you arrived at 6:06, a little bit further down on the page. Just under Superintendent Ron Kelly presented summer hires and resignations. Right on the first page. Or whatever, you weren't there when we called it to order, but then you came in later on, so we're all set.
I had two edits.
Yep.
The first one is where it says Dr. Manning couldn't arrive. It says that he had a conflict. I think it should be reworded as a scheduling conflict, because just stating a conflict could maybe imply a couple of different things, but it was clearly a scheduling conflict. So, and then my other suggested edit would be on page 3. It should say community eligibility provision, not program, where we talked about the school meal applications and the setting of school lunch prices. It should say community eligibility provision.
Provision, not program.
Yeah.
What's up with that, Kathy? Okay. All right, any other edits or changes to those minutes? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor of approving the minutes as amended for August 7th, simply by saying aye. Brody?
Aye.
Stephanie? Dr. Manning? Christine? Jim Pittman?
Yes.
Carleen? Mary? Dana? And the chair votes aye as well. Second set of minutes is from a non-public meeting on August 23rd. Do I hear a motion to approve?
Second.
So moved by Dr. Jim. Seconded by Brody. Okay, any edits or changes to those minutes? Okay, hearing none, all those in favor. Brody?
Aye.
Stephanie? Okay, abstain. Dr. Manning?
Yes.
Jim Pittman?
Abstain.
Charlene? Mary? Dana? And chair votes aye. Thank you. Okay, manifest, we don't have any totals tonight. Unfortunately, Kathy Oblenis is out of town and did not get back in time for tonight's meeting. We will approve those manifests on next month's meeting. Thank you. Okay, public input. This is when you have an opportunity to address the board. Please limit your comments to about 3 minutes if possible, so we can get everybody in that would like to speak. And again, the rules of the meeting, be respectful of those in the auditorium. If you have differences of opinions, please respect their differences. And if there are any inappropriate language during the meeting, we will adjourn the meeting at that point. So anybody that would like to speak, please come up to the microphone up here. Please state your name and town from. Hang on just a minute, Ruth. I think the microphone is not on.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Okay, thank you.
My name is Ruth Clough. I'm from Tuftonboro. I gathered some information this week. This district is allocated $6.5 million for the third ESSER phase, ending approximately in a year. We assume that the district has signed the DOE program assurances for ESSER. These assurances require opportunities for participation in the planning for and operation of the program by parents and other interested parties. When will the district provide that opportunity for people to provide input on how this $6.5 million will be used to benefit students? That's number one. Based off of statewide assessments, the proficiency in our district for math is 46%, English 50%, and science 36%. As education in this district and around the nation has become more consumed with the social aspects of our students, they have seriously neglected the greater importance of traditional education. The implications from such negligence will likely have a negative impact on these students who are failing at increasing and alarming rates. What is the Academic Affairs Committee discussing presently to address this situation? That being said, as taxpayers continue to have increased tax burdens year to year, and the majority of those funds being sent to the school district, exactly what is our return on investment? In the year of 2003, way back 20 years ago, the amount required by the state for school funding from all towns combined was reduced from $363 million down to $263 million, which in and of itself proves that taxpayers are being overcharged. But what happened to the additional funds of $100 million? Were those funds being dumped in other areas and not used for education purposes? Those funds were intended to pass back to local taxpayers, but they were not. And this is why taxpayers are uncomfortable with how the school boards across the nation are spending our money. Lastly, 30 communities statewide raise more money than required by the state for education. Wolfeboro and my town of Tuftonboro were two of those communities. It is said that the excess money that was raised in these two towns will become a slush fund to the poorer towns under next year's new legislation, meaning that now we are not only being taxed for our local students who grade poorly, but the excess tax we pay is not returned to the towns of Tuftonboro and Wolfeboro as would be appropriate. Instead, we will, or we are, already donor towns. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, anyone else like to speak? We will have public input at the end of the meeting as well.
Hello, Bobby Budman from Wolfeboro. I came tonight because I wanted to talk about something that has been in our education system for over 100 years, and that would be sexual education, sex ed. And we've very comfortably been putting forth sex ed to our children and giving them the opportunity to have place in our public schools for that for over 100 years now. However, we have a law that happened about 20 years ago, and it's called the Safe Haven Baby Law. And our children in our schools don't know about the law. How many here on this panel know about a safe haven baby law? So a couple of you. So I checked around with my son and with his friends, and at no point during their education, whether it be at the nurse's office or whether it be anywhere, were there any pamphlets on the safe haven law. I'm just going to quickly tell you what that is. That is that if someone has a baby, they're allowed to surrender the baby, and it's supposed to be no questions asked. Unfortunately, our state does have some flaws in our law, which we're working on changing. But our children don't know that they can surrender a baby since what's going on in our society, surrenders are up. We're also finding more babies in dumpsters. And I think it's time that maybe our children in our school district have at least the flyers and know that there's a safe haven law where they can turn a baby over to the fire department, the hospital, or call even 911 and have an EMT and surrender their baby. So I'd like to ask the board if you can approve bringing into the school the information for our safe haven law for our children. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, seeing no one else at this point, again, we will have some public input at the end of our meeting again, and we'll turn it over to the superintendent.
Testing. There it is. Thank you. Good evening. So the first agenda item for superintendent report is a superintendent district update. This is a new item that I will have for the board every month. As I said, toward an effort to increase communication, I'll give updates from around the district to the school board. Some of the things that are going on that the board may not be aware of, the community may not be aware of. And I'll just highlight a few things each month. So in this month's issue, I highlight summer activities and professional development that our teachers and administrators participated in this summer. In addition, safety and security, professional police department training. We had Homeland Security assessments of all of our schools over the summer, in-person assessments. They walked through all of our schools, and we'll have reports on those assessments within the next month. And we'll be including Homeland Security in our next Safety and Security Task Force meetings this fall and in the spring. And finally, the Daughters of the Revolution have organized the Wreaths Across America mobile exhibit to visit Crescent Lake School and Carpenter School. So this is a way for students to learn about connection between families and the military, promoting education, values of service and sacrifice. So it's a 48-foot exhibit, and it'll be at both of those schools in November.
Thank you.
Any questions? Next, I'd like to introduce our new student representative. Elliot Giesler joins us as a senior at Kingswood High School, and it's my pleasure and honor to welcome you to our school board, Elliot. There's a switch on top.
Thank you for the introduction. As she just stated, I am Elliot Giesler. I am a senior here at Kingswood High School. Oh, there we are. I am a part of the theater program here at Kingswood. I run track and field. I am part of NHS. This is my first year on student council, and I would like to just start by thanking you all on behalf of the student body for allowing us to have a voice on this board. And I would also like to extend a warm welcome on behalf of the student body to new Principal Famulari. So this is, I'm going to give the just general spiel about what's happening in the school right now. We're going to start the arts department. Just today, the theater program had their very first rehearsal for the fall musical Beauty and the Beast. I'd like to extend a invitation to anybody on the board or anybody in the audience tonight to come see us. The shows will be the 17th, 18th, and 19th of November. It's going to be a great show. The theater department is coming off of what could be argued is its most successful year ever. In last fall, we had our critically acclaimed musical Monty Python's Spamalot go up here. And then after that, we had our festival show, Star-Crossed Lovers, go to regionals. We won, go to states, and we were selected to go to the New England Drama Festival. Several cast and crew members also won awards for their work on that production. Like I said, Beauty and the Beast will be the fall musical. The winter one act is unknown as of right now. Moving over to the band and chorus. The band and chorus will be having their very first concerts on October 19th, a little over a month away. It's called Kingswood Stock. It will be performances from the full chorus, the jazz band, and we will have several soloists and smaller groups who elect to perform. Moving over to athletics, soccer had a game this past Saturday that was postponed due to the weather. The Knights were up 2-0 at the time that the game was postponed, and a date to continue the game has not yet been picked. Their next game that is scheduled is Wednesday at home versus Milford. The soccer team, obviously coming off of a very nice runner-up season. They fell just short in the state championship to Oyster River. They currently sit at 1-2-1 and are looking to repeat their success from last season. Also last Saturday, volleyball had a home game against Milford that they won 3-1. Their next game is this Thursday against Kennett at home. Moving over to varsity football, they have a game at Kearsarge this Friday. And their next home game will be the following week against Epping Newmarket. Football, very large but very young roster this year, especially some of the seniors, including captains Brady Clark and Emerson Donito, both only second-year players, but they continue to show growth on the field. Moving to inside the building, the student councils have begun their work on preparations for the homecoming week. All of the class governments, as well as the executive student body council, met today to begin work on activities such as the pep rally, the themes for the dress-up days, the hallway decorating, and, of course, the dance itself. The student council will have a field trip next Tuesday to the Mount Washington cruise for further planning for these events. The senior class today began planning their fundraisers for this year for events such as prom. As we begin the 2023-24 school year, the state of the overall student body is very strong. The culture within the building is as strong as it has been in my time here at Kingswood. Students seem to be taking to the policy changes without too much complaint from my view. Obviously, there's some transition there, but things are going quite well just 2 weeks in. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Elliot. Excellent report. Look forward to getting to some of these events this year. Any questions for our new student rep? Thank you very much. Okay, next for the board, field trip update. For your information, we share overnight or out-of-state trips. The first is Tuftonboro 6th grade overnight trip to Mero Vista. We have Kingswood High School softball field trip to Florida. This is overnight and out of state. There's some information on the back of that form. They had their best year ever last year with the undefeated regular season and runners-up in the state championship game for 2023. They'll be staying at the Jackie Robinson facility where they will be playing as well as eating all their meals. It's a very exciting event for that team. And then finally, a trip to Spain. So this trip is in June. We have some information here. Students will enhance their language skills and cultural knowledge through language classes, activities, and a homestay experience. Do we have the teacher here with us? Teachers here. So if the board has any questions, we do have the teacher here. Those are our field trips. This is the Spanish teacher.
And two. There we go. All right. My comment isn't on either of the individual trips. It's just, and I know sometimes there'll be additional chaperones or parents that are brought onto these trips, but at least for two of the trips, I'd like the chaperones to be more, more of a gender balance. only because I think, I think there could be an issue. For example, with the softball trip, there's only one woman going on the trip for 16 girls on the softball team, and there might be additional chaperones going, but I'm not opposed to the trip, but I just think that's something that we should be cognizant of, because if you have an issue with, one girl in one bathroom, one girl in another bathroom at the hotel, and you only have one female chaperone, then Alex Tree is the guy. He's our he's a teacher and our trainer. That's right. Yep, our trainer and athletic person. So, I mean, I just want to and I think I've brought that up before, but I think it's important that we have that gender balance so then students can feel comfortable if there's a situation that arises, and people have divided attention, and I'm sure the staff can consider that. There's a lot of lead time before these trips, so that's all I want to say.
Any questions for this teacher?
Hi, I'm Elisa Kinatoa, and I'm the Spanish teacher in the Spanish main.
Great. Okay. I guess
Okay.
no. Oh.
Advertised yet at all? You had an idea of
No,
how many were interested?
we wanted to get approval before I went ahead and presented it to students. It is through a company, and so there isn't necessarily a minimum number that we have to reach in order to take the trip. It would be better to have 8 to 15 students, but the number is really flexible because they would be part of a larger group. Spanish.
It would cost each student?
It is more expensive than our trip last year because it's longer, and it's also in Europe. So the program fee is $3,000, and then on top of that, we'd have to pay for airfare and any other additional costs like trip insurance, things like that.
Any other questions? Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Next item is the Carpenter School Playground. Do we have members of the committee here tonight? I'd like to make a statement about our gratitude for the Carpenter School Playground, and then I'll ask the board for action to accept the playground as a gift as part of the property. The district would like to give thanks to the Carpenter School Community Playground Committee for the new playground at Carpenter School, a group of volunteers who donated their time, talents, and treasures to create a maintenance-free playground for the Carpenter School students and the greater Wolfeboro community to use when school activities are not in session. Committee members include Committee Chair Holly Williams O'Coin, Treasurer Crystal Simpson, Secretary Jennifer Schrout, Carissa and Jake Doobie, and Mallory Littman. Through collective actions, this group of dedicated volunteers worked with members of the Carpenter School staff to design a safe and accessible playground that would meet the needs of our students. During this process, students voted on their favorite slides, swings, and equipment, which were incorporated into the new playground design. They raised $300,000 in private funding. They organized and oversaw the installation of the new playground, which resulted in dozens of community members working around the clock for over a week to ensure the new playground was ready for the first day of the 2023 school year. In recognition of those who supported this project, the Carpenter School Community Playground Committee and the Governor Wentworth Regional School District would like to recognize the Vanderheiden family, whose generosity made it possible for the Friends of the Carpenter School Community Playground Committee to replace the iconic wooden playground with one equivalent in size despite the cost. The Vanderheidens' gift covered over 67% of the project costs. Their gift was made to ensure that the playground be open year-round and remain accessible to the Greater Lakes Region community when school activities are not in session. The committee and district would also like to recognize the following individuals, businesses, and groups who helped to create the playground. The teachers and families of Carpenter School, who raised $26,147 over the past 15 years through spaghetti dinner fundraisers. Former Carpenter School principal Mary Dolan Myers, who spearheaded the projects and the creation of the Friends of the Carpenter School Playground Committee. The town of Wolfeboro and the Wolfeboro taxpayers who contributed $50,000 toward the project to ensure that the playground remains accessible to Wolfeboro residents when school activities are not in session. The Jocker Family Foundation, the Montrone family, Avery Insurance, Bradley's Hardware, Eastern Propane and Oil, the French family, Green Mountain Communications, Headwall Construction, Liberty Mutual, the Wolfeboro Lions Club, Luke Freudenberg, Paul O'Brien, the Wolfeboro Rotary Club, the Wolfeboro Fund, Bradley's Hardware, Kevin French and Family, 603 Tree Care, Graymont Earth Services, East Coast Foundation, Coleman's, Mountainside Excavation, and the dozens of community members who came out to help with the installation of the playground, and finally, Carpenter School principal Corinne Rowe, who just started and jumped in with 2 feet to help despite being new this year. Thank you to everyone who played a part in building this incredible new structure for our students in our community.
At this point, I would entertain a motion to approve approve the acceptance of the Carpenter School Playground as a gift to the Governor Wentworth School District. Okay, moved by Brody, seconded by Charlene. Go
I
ahead.
just wanted to say, I went and I helped build, but it was amazing to see how many people there had built the original playground that was there. There were a lot of people that this was their second, and they had built it back when their kids were young. Their kids are now either have their own, they have grandkids now in the school district, and to see generations of people from Wolfeboro or GWRSD, take down that playground and rebuild a new one was really inspiring. So I thought that was really awesome.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Any other comment? Okay, the motion to approve acceptance of the Carpenter School Playground as a gift to the Governor Wentworth Regional School District. All those in favor? Brody? Stephanie? Dr. Jim Pittman?
Yes.
Charlene? Mary? Dana? And Chair votes aye. Thank you so much, and thank you to the community for this tremendous gift to the students in our district. Thank you.
For superintendent's report is the Let Grow project. So this is a project that's sponsored by the New Hampshire Education Department in collaboration with Boston College, that's available to schools. I have a letter that's to school leaders from the project managers, who are Dr. Jessica Black and Dr. Maggie Van Camp from Boston College. So this project, let's see, Cell to Society Lab studies child and adolescent development, covering topics reading, sleep, positive emotion and humor, mindset, belonging, and self-perception, and draws from many fields such as neuroscience, cells, and education and social work society. They're former classroom teachers, undergraduate and graduate students across many majors, social workers, and academics. So this month, I'm bringing this information to the board. The principal posed this project, and they had people from the project come to the school, and they have teachers from grades K through 5 who are interested in participating. In October, I'll bring to the board the surveys for the board to vote per district policy and New Hampshire rules. But we're starting out this month with information. Okay? Thank you. And that's it for my report.
Okay, moving on to Chairman's report. On August 8th, the school board met with a facilitator to start the process of creating a strategic plan for the district. It's been many, many years since we actually created a strategic plan, and it was time to do that. So we met on the 8th, met for about 4 hours, I think it was, going through some exercises to identify areas that we would like the strategic team to move forward on. So after that meeting, the facilitator working with the superintendent, has put together a strategic planning team that will meet first tomorrow, as a matter of fact, for their first meeting. And the team consists currently of Stephanie King from the school board, Jim Pittman from the school board, Charlene Seibel from the school board, and Mary Schillerer from the school board. Dr. Caroline our superintendent, Heather Cummings, our assistant superintendent, Katie Hills, director of curriculum and instruction, Principal Andrea Fournier from Ossipee School, Ellie Colby-Seavey, principal from New Durham, Lara Crane, head of school counseling at the high school, Sarah Straz, English teacher and academic coordinator for the high school, Michael Baker, a parent from Ossipee, and Elliot Giesler, our student representative from Kingswood High School in Tuftonboro. So that's the strategic plan team that's been created. The first meeting will be tomorrow, and we'll get constant updates once that happens. Tomorrow's meeting, I believe, will also be attended by the facilitator to start that process and get them in the right direction to move forward.
Since we have community here, there will be many opportunities for community input over the next 5 months. So I'm putting that out there. I hope that the community will contribute and participate and share with the team their thoughts about themes and objectives and thoughts about how you feel that the district should move forward. We'll communicate all those opportunities very soon.
Go ahead, Brody.
Is this on? There we go. I just had a quick comment. I'm very happy to see that we have a strategic planning team, and I'm very happy to know that we're going to be soliciting feedback from the public. I just, when I saw the team's makeup, I felt as if it was a little bit heavy with school board members and administrators. I mean, of the 13-member committee, 10 are either a administrator or a school board member. I would have liked to see maybe an additional teacher, an additional parent, and one less school board member and one less administrator, because I think it's important to have that balance of stakeholders, because this school district it's the public, it's the people's school district, and I think there are probably many people that would be valuable assets that might bring a new and fresh and perspective. Not that we don't have administrators that are great, but I think when, at least in hiring committees that I've been a part of, like for example the Wolfeboro Library Director, we had more members of the committee who were members of the public rather than trustees, because we wanted the public to be extremely engaged. And there were times where the trustees were overruled in votes by the public, and at the end of the day, just like with the Wolfeboro Public Library, it's the public's library. We want their voices to have a strong influence too. I assume this committee will be holistic in its approach, but I think sometimes, starting with a holistic and collaborative makeup is the best. And I also think, I think we should have gone through the process of establishing this as a school board vote, and then, establishing the makeup as a school board, having this discussion saying what should the makeup be, and then permitting the chair, per our board committee's policy and BDE, to appoint people to the committee. So again, the committee will probably do an excellent job, and they'll, based on what the superintendent just said, take a holistic approach, an open-minded approach, and solicit as much feedback. But I just would have preferred to see more members of the public on the committee. That's just my perspective, but thank you.
Good. Thank you, Brody. Okay, any other comments on the strategic plan at this point?
I can't hear you, Stephanie.
Can we know a little bit more about how the decision?
About the team? So, sure. So, first, it started at the strategic planning meeting, and the facilitator recommended that we have, a good number of school board members, because it's the school board strategic plan for the district, and he outlined who are typically on the team. So typically, it's the superintendent, assistant superintendent, and a director of curriculum and instruction, because oftentimes, and this board did identify academic achievement as one of the themes, we will need the director of curriculum on the team so that we can discuss academic achievement with our lead in that area. And then as far as the other members, we look to find members from different parts of this district. It's very widespread, as we all know. So we looked so then we were thinking, okay, elementary schools. And so we chose one from this side of the district and one from this side of the district, Ossipee and New Durham. And then we also know that we need someone with a mental health background. So the head of school counseling, she's also someone who's been in our district for many years, I believe. So that's how we invited Laura Crane. We also wanted another person from the high school, someone who's a leader, someone who works with high school students every day, a teacher who is established, and is someone who collaborates with the SAU on a regular basis. So we invited Sarah Straz, who's here, and she graciously accepted. Then we also wanted to invite a parent, someone who is not an employee. And this is a person, Michael Baker is a parent who they live in Ossipee. And so, sometimes we get Wolfeboro heavy. And so we wanted to make sure we were, around the district. And then our new student rep, I don't think we'll bug you for every meeting. But someone who lives in Tuftonboro, that's really helpful. So I would be honored if you would join us as we get down the road a little bit, because we want that student voice before you run off to college and get into the movies on Broadway. So that's the background. And really, I think it's a really important point in that a strategic planning process is one that involves the community. Not to pat myself on the back, but when I did the listening tour last year, I went to every single school. I talked to every kind of position that we have. It should not be discerning. It should not be exclusive. And that's what this team, although it should be multidisciplinary, it is not the end. Like, this team is not creating the strategic plan, So I think it's an essential point that you bring up, that we need to involve as many people from this community as possible, and especially the people who don't come forward as often. So we often have the same people who come forward. We want to hear from you. But then we also have underserved communities. We have underserved families. And we need to be creative to find ways to hear from people who we don't usually hear from. So I think one of our first topics in our meeting tomorrow is going to be how we're going to reach all different constituents from our communities. So parents, business owners, because this district, I think I heard, is the largest employer, right, in our area. So it's not just students and staff and us, it's everyone in our towns. So that's the spirit in which we chose members and how we're going to solicit input. So thank you for the comment.
Questions, and I really appreciate the clarification, Caroline. I still harbor my own personal opinions, but I'll respect the processes going forward. But I guess my two questions are kind of unrelated. One would be, how will recommendations come to this board, or information come to this board, and then how will we dispense with what to do with that information? And then my second thing is less of a question, but more of a recommendation. We'll frame it as a question: is, will we consider doing public hearings in all the different towns throughout our school district to solicit feedback to truly be collaborative.
Mr. Chair? As I said, the team will be soliciting input throughout this fall. It's hopefully only a 5 to 6 month process. So during this time, we're going to be working really hard to get all that input. After we get all that input, the team will use that information to determine how to act upon it. And then once we have objectives and goals, it's my understanding that that will then be brought to the board.
About having this a standing agenda item to update between, so that we would kind of just be updating the public on the process as we're going through it. Here's what we discussed in the strategic planning committee in the last week. Just as a quick update at every school board meeting. I think that was something we discussed when we initially met as a whole board.
It will definitely have updates every month, absolutely. But as far as voting on items, that would be later down the road. Yeah.
Just so I make sure I'm understanding correctly, you guys will go out to the public and have a process for soliciting feedback, gather facts and information, formulate based on what we originally talked about early in the strategic planning process, some of those overarching things, kind of get more into the more the nitty-gritty, the exact ways of implementing it, and then have some kind of package that this board will be able to look over, scrutinize, and make decisions on, and eventually dispense and take actions upon such a what is developed by the team. Is that what I'm understanding?
Yes.
Okay. All right. I just wanted to make sure that was clear. Thank you.
Also, Brody, I'm a mom too. And so I'm a board member, but I also bring that hat to the strategic planning as well. So there's 2 parents on the board.
As are other members.
I wouldn't doubt that people wear multiple hats were on the board. It's just always good when you're talking about how you create a collaborative process, that it's good to seek people outside of your organization, because that fosters innovation and that fosters new perspectives. But I wouldn't doubt that you wouldn't bring a great perspective as a board member and a mother. It's just, I'm always thinking about what's the most holistic way and collaborative way to govern. And, I have my own opinions, but we'll march on and we'll have a great process for strategic planning.
Moving on to the next item on the agenda is the New Hampshire School Board Association Delegate Assembly. You have in your packet the proposed resolutions for this year. They've been vetted by the board, which I'm a member of, as well as the executive committee on the School Board Association. We will be voting on these on October 14th. I'll be the delegate from Governor Wentworth for that, as well as a board member. Please read through the resolutions. If you have any questions, email me directly with questions or concerns that I may bring up at the delegate assembly itself. And then we'll move forward from there. Okay? Yes.
Something I was confused about when I was reviewing over the different proposed resolutions is there a point where we as a board instruct the representative who will go to the New Hampshire School Boards Association and how they'll vote on the resolutions?
That's basically what I'm asking for now. As you read through them, I'll take all the information I receive from the different board members individually and assess whether you're approving or not approving the resolution as proposed.
Okay.
Okay? And I will vote accordingly.
Thank you.
Okay, the last item under my report is a few notes of sympathy that we sent out, one to Tammy Scott from the SAU office, one from Barbara Melnick at the high school, and one from Val Cousteau at Crescent Lake School. So moving on to committee reports, academic affairs. Charlene?
Okay, testing 1, 2, 3. I'd like to report that our first meeting is going to be on 21 September at 4 p.m., and that will be our first Academic Affairs Committee meeting of the year.
Okay, nice short report. Building and maintenance, Mr. Pittman.
I think I'm on.
Yep.
Okay, very good. Well, appreciating brevity, Charlene, I will remark that the building and maintenance meeting will be on September 26th at 4 p.m. at the SAU office. That's all I have to say.
All right, moving right along. Finance Committee meeting, as we spoke the last time, our 3 finance meetings for the board itself will be in the middle of November. We'll update you on those dates. It's a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and I don't have the exact dates with me, but the process has already started where the principals of each building will gather information from their individual staffs, meet with Caroline and Kathy O'Blennis to go over their individual budgets. And then when we meet in November, we will be discussing each individual school's desires. Okay, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, it's the 14th, 15th, and 16th at Crescent Lake School, and I believe we meet at 6 o'clock. So we will be meeting on those 3 days. The first day, we'll hear from the middle school, high school, and vocational center. Second night, we'll hear from the 6 elementary school principals. And the third night, we hear from special education, and then we review where the budget process is at that point in time before we finalize what we're going to present to the public. In December, we make our first budget presentation, which is a preliminary acceptance of the budget. We take input from the public, we take input from board members, and any changes that need to be made to the proposed budget at that point. We make our final presentation in January to accept the budget, and then obviously the deliberative session in February is when the public gets to hear the budget and hopefully move forward in March with approval of the budget at that point. Okay, moving on. I have nothing under human resources at this point. Advanced planning. You can see down below some of the open houses. The middle school open house is the 13th. The high school and LRTC open house is on the 14th. Crescent Lake is the 20th. Tufton Borough and Carpenter School the 21st. Ossipee and Effingham on the 27th. And our next school board meeting is October 2nd at the Effingham Elementary School. Okay, moving on, public input. This is when you have another opportunity to talk to the board and address the board. Another 15 minutes if you would like. Again, if you can hold your comments to about 3 minutes at a time. And if you want to speak, please go up to the microphone and again, present your name and your town you're from, and we'll listen to whatever comments you have.
Can we go?
Yep.
My name's Jerry Hess. I've lived in Wolfeboro for about 20-some odd years. I simply want to say that I think you folks are doing a fantastic job, and you don't get enough credit. I hear that there's a few people in town that have nothing but complaints. Hopefully, they will open their ears and eyes. If anybody would like me to help on any of your committees, just let me know. And again, thank you for all your efforts.
Thank you, Mr. Hess. Appreciate it. Hey, anyone else like to address the board? Okay, seeing no one, I would ask for a motion to adjourn our meeting. Oh, I'm sorry, closing comments. Actually, I'll start with the closing comment, if I may. We had a reception just before our board meeting here for our new staff. It was out here in the lobby. We met most of the new staff that we have in this district. It was a great turnout. It was great to talk to the new staff members. And I think what I came away from is that they really appreciated the fact that this was an opportunity for them to meet us, or us to meet them, and just understand how important it is for the education in this district. So it was a great time for us. Yeah. All right, going around the table, Stephanie, you brought it up, so go for it. Scott, we have a microphone on. He's got it.
Hello. Plan B. I just wanted to let you all know this is National Suicide Awareness Month, and our governor declared this week as Suicide Prevention Week here in New Hampshire. And I don't know if any of you who have students in the district, but last year our legislators passed a law that requires the Suicide Prevention Lifeline to be on the back of every student identification card. It's really important for us all to check in with each other. Suicide is the second leading cause of death among young people ages 15 to 34 in New Hampshire, and the 9th leading cause of death overall. And everyone is preventable. So we can do better as a state, and I just want to raise awareness about that. And if you need help, call 988 and get some help and ask a friend and check in on each other. So that's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
There you go.
I feel like I should sing a song now. Yeah. All right. A couple of things. I want to thank the town of Wolfeboro. I was asked to represent the school district on the Wolfeboro Capital Improvement Program Committee. The district has a seat on that committee. We're non-voting, but it does give us an opportunity to have input when there are projects that perhaps the school district needs to discuss and put forward to the town. So it was a very, very good experience, and I thank the welcoming of all the members of that committee. It was very educational for me. Second, this is sort of a public service announcement. In November, I was in Lahaina on Maui, and of course, we all know what has happened there. I just want to remind people that they can still use a lot of help, especially help that serves the local people, the Native Hawaiian people, but also the folks who really have been residents there for a long time. They're in a difficult predicament, particularly in terms of there's a lot of predatory activities going where they're trying to acquire the lands of people who have been there for a long time. So I'm using my bully pulpit to put the word out there as it starts to fall off the news, and we may forget the need that's there. Thank you.
Dr. Jim. Okay. Eric.
I just want to say how grateful I am to be a member of this board and the folks that made the decision to elect a teacher. It's been an extraordinary opportunity for me personally, so kind of selfishly, I'd like to say how much I'm enjoying it. Visiting all the schools, I'm eager to go to all the open houses, and I'm so appreciative of you folks that show up to speak and listen and contribute. The playground at Carpenter, I think, is emblematic of what's happening across the district at all the respective schools. It really is a great community. It's a great district, and I'm just exceedingly grateful and looking forward to the months to come, and especially the teachers that I know are hard at work and the families that support them. So thank you very much.
Okay, Charlene.
I'm just going to say ditto to all the preceding remarks.
Okay, Brody.
Is this on? There we go. I just want to thank, I mean, we have a big crowd tonight as compared to what we have at most nights at school board meetings, so that's refreshing. It's great to have people come, listen, learn, and speak their minds. That's really important for the process. So I want to thank all of you, the residents who we serve, for coming out and caring about this process and what we do here, because it's really important for our community. I want to welcome Elliot Giesler. I'm surprised no one's welcomed you yet. I know we've gone through all the board. We're almost like 8 now. So I was also a student rep, and it it really gave me a broader perspective on how governing works locally and how important it is to be involved in your community. And I want to also apologize for missing the new teacher reception. We had a library board of trustees meeting, so every second Monday of the month, 3:30 library trustees start. I get a 30-minute break to drive up here, maybe get a drink of water, and then we do this for about 3 hours. So, but I want to welcome all those teachers too. I feel bad that I couldn't be there to welcome them more formally, but this will have to do. So thank you.
Thank you, Brody. Dana.
Just like to remind people that are watching and also in the audience here about some important dates coming up in September. That's open house. I'm telling you, whether you have students in the school or not, it's a great place to go to visit, to see some of the activities that are going on, meet people, see the energy that takes place in each school. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you, Dana. Okay, Elliot, would you like to say anything?
Is this, yeah, it is. I think I'd be better at this considering I use these so often. I just wanted to thank you all for having me tonight. Like, once again, on behalf of the student body, thank you guys for giving us a voice on this board. We all appreciate it very much. Yeah.
Thank you. Kelly? Nothing? Okay. All right, now I would entertain a motion to adjourn. Moved by Brody, seconded by Stephanie. All right, all those in favor, Brody?
Aye.
Stephanie? Dr. Jim? Jim Pittman?
Yes.
Charlene? Mary? Dana? And chair votes aye. We are adjourned. Thank you so much for coming. Appreciate it.